Right, let's unpack this a little bit further. Now we're joined in the studio to unpack the new Speaker of the City of Johannesburg's election. We're joined by analyst Brutus Malada. Good to have you with us.
Good evening.
One would say it's not a party that is growing at its cope. It's a party that is on a decline, certainly. And this kind of throws a spanner in the works for them, does it not?
Yeah, it does. Anyway, firstly, congratulations to Councillor Colleen Makhubele for her election as the new Speaker. But look, what is happening in the city of Johannesburg, it's a sideshow. There is a much bigger political program that is happening. That is 2024. So what you see, the wrestling that is happening in the city council, these political parties are positioning themselves for 2024. Now, the ANC has instigated what has happened. There is no doubt about it. The DA has let this happen, but it is also playing a game of 2024. I think for me, the DA is threatened by the existence of Action SA, and they are worried that if Action SA continues to be in the executive committee in the city of Johannesburg, it is going to showcase for the elections in 2024, and it's going to be a serious contender. So that's why they allowed the actual negotiations to collapse.
So you're saying the Democratic Alliance knew exactly that this would be the outcome when they, of course, refused the suggestions coming from the other minority parties on who should be the Speaker? Okay,
let's take it back. Firstly, after just before the 2021 elections in November, immediately after the results were announced, the parties were supposed to negotiate. The DA allowed that negotiation to collapse just before the election of the mayor. And the parties coalesced together to vote for the DA. Negotiations also prolonged. That's why you only ended up having a mayoral committee that was only announced on the 13th of December. That shows you that there were tensions about who should take what. Now, there was a window that was given by the ousting of the DA Vasco da Gama. So what that presented was an opportunity to balance power between the members of the coalition. So you will have possibly a member of the coalition like the PA or the IFP holding power as in the legislature, and the DA having a councillor who is a mayor of the city. That would have actually made sure that there is stability. But the DA refused to have, as we have seen, because the councillor that they proposed, Councillor Christian, is a DA member. They still wanted a DA councillor to be the mayor, and that is why parties like this, PA, left the coalition. So you would also remember, just on the eve of the voting yesterday, actually, there was an article that was issued by Solim Simang.
Yes.
And one wonders why all of a sudden Musimang is actually pronouncing on the stability of the coalition.
Yeah.
That was to stir up this whole thing. For me, it was not innocent.
Does this mean it's the end then of the coalition? Is it only going to play out in the city of Johannesburg, or is it going to play out in the other key metros, Tshwane as well as in Ekurhuleni?
What has happened today is a harbinger of more to come. So we should expect that there will be a fallout also with the partners in the other municipalities, given what has happened, what has transpired in the city of Johannesburg. So what is happening is that the city of Johannesburg has set a trend, and we are likely to see the same happen in Ekurhuleni, the same happen in Tshwane. We know that there has been unhappiness by the coalition partners in Tshwane, yeah, with Mayor Randall. Yeah. So you can expect that the partners are not happy because majority of them are the same partners that are in the city of Johannesburg.
Is this an idea that was hashed during those meetings that we saw happening between the ANC and the EFF recently?
It's possible, and as I say, my theory is that there is a bigger political game that is being played here, and that political game is about 2024. So these parties are positioning themselves for 2024. The ANC wants to retain the position of power in these cities, so that it can have something to say in preparation for 2024. And the same goes for the rest of the parties. So for them to be out of power, it will also hamstring their own possibilities and chances of campaigning in 2024.
Yeah. Is it a far-gone conclusion then to say that a motion of no confidence against Mayor Palazzi is now firmly on the cards?
I think the coalition partners will have to be very, very worried with the results that happened today. If we look back, there's already a precedent that has been set. After Mayor Mashaba left, it was very clear how the voting went. So we are highly likely to have the same number of votes that we found or we got today with the election of the new speaker. So if that is the trend, definitely I think that we are likely to see a change of government in the city of Johannesburg.
And what kind of government is going to be formed? Because clearly the ANC would need the minority parties, the ANC would need the EFF, but even that would probably give them about 136. For them to have that full 141, 144, they would need the Patriotic Alliance as well. So they're not going in really as the strong party that would lead that coalition.
Obviously, there were negotiations that took place behind the scenes prior to the elections today. And I think the parties have agreed to give each other this or that responsibility in council. So we are likely to see if there is to be a council in the next few days, we are likely to see motions of no confidence to various key players, including the mayor. So when that happens, then you would then see the ANC constituting a government. It will be the same as we had seen after Herman Mashaba left. So we are going to have an ANC mayor, we are going to have the PA there, we are going to have the other small parties. Colleen has already secured a position.
Yeah, so I mean, we are likely to see new MMCs and the whole entire system changing yet again, and the level of instability that is going to bring?
Yeah, look, immediately when there is a vote of no confidence, the cabinet or the mayoral committee collapses immediately. If the mayor is removed today, the next minute there is no mayoral committee. So then the next mayor who is voted will then assemble his or her own team. So we are likely to have a complete change of government. We might see the PA still a player in that mayoral committee, given that they seem to have had an agreement with the other parties to vote against the, to vote for the new speaker today.
Is this an embarrassing situation for the Congress of the People nationally? Because, the DA seem to have the view that you must wrap your councillors around the knuckles for having voted out Vasco da Gama, and they seem not to be able to discipline Colleen Makhubele because she's got the support of her region by and large, and they are just going ahead, also with the blessing of the president, who the other faction want out.
Well, the cope is messy. So if you suspend someone today, there is a likelihood that another faction is going to come to rescind the very same action that you would have taken. So we had Bloom actually pronouncing that Colleen was not acting on the mandate of the party.
Yeah.
But the following week or so, we saw Colleen celebrating with the president of COPE.
Yeah. So
that's the dynamic within COPE. There is high instability, there is factionalism that is very rife, and the party is in disarray.
Centre is not holding. It does seem, but does it set her firmly in that position of Speaker of Council?
Look, I think what the ANC was able to do is to play behind the scenes and to position someone who is not an ANC so that it doesn't come out openly as an ANC-led kind of election that was happening today. But we know that Colleen is supported by the ANC, hence she got the majority votes today. So what the ANC wants is to have, they know that on their own they will not be able to have the majority votes in council. So they are appeasing the small parties to vote with them. And they will give positions like MMCs to the PA and to the other parties as well that are voting with them. So that's the game that they're playing. But the significant positions like the mayor and the other strategic MMCs, they will actually retain them.
What does then 2024 look like? I mean, judging by what you're seeing here and the role that minority parties are going to play in 2024.
Well, 2024, for me, I've written a piece to say that we are likely to see a government of national unity. So you are going to have parties that will constitute a government. Either we'll have one of the two scenarios, a scenario of an ANC-led coalition government nationally. And that coalition, if it happens, it will have the ANC and the EFF. You are also likely to have another scenario, a scenario number 2, of a DA and the rest coalition, which coalition might not involve the EFF. So what is likely to happen is that, in fact, this game that has been played today is actually for the positioning of the parties, even those that might end up coalescing with the DA. This is how I see it. The DA is threatened by the existence of Action SA because it's eating out of the support base of the DA, especially the black vote that the DA used to enjoy in the recent past. And it is recruiting prominent players within the DA, and they are joining Action SA. So Action SA, with its involvement in a government today, can project itself as a possible or alternative to either the ANC or the DA. But without the responsibility of governing, they will have nothing to show in 2024. The DA will remain with the other municipalities that they are able to show case that we can govern. And with the Action SA, without this kind of experience, then they will give them a run for their money. So they are positioning themselves as well for 2024. But when that time comes, we know that they seem to come together when it comes to fighting against the ANC.
Yes.
So they are likely to still come together to form a coalition with the rest of the other parties, a coalition that will be without the ANC.
Brutus, appreciate your time. Thanks so much for coming on tonight. Brutus Malada, the political analyst, assessing what has been happening today in that council in the city of Johannesburg.